Hello, welcome to Mamemeister's 10-minute mashup. Tonight's game, I thought I'd try something a wee bit different. So I'm not using my sort of PC, which I tend to use for most of the games because they emulate everything. I'm actually using, hang on, I'm just going to turn this down a tad. I'm actually using my Vectrex. Now, I'm a big fan of the Vectrex. I was lucky enough to pick up one about 5 years ago. Got it for a great price with a lot of box games. Now they go for kind of silly money. But I've got a lot of systems, a lot of computers, a lot of consoles. And without a shadow of doubt, the Vectrex is my favourite system ever. Absolutely love it. Love it to bits because it's got such a unique screen display. It obviously does vector graphics, which to those that don't know what they are, it's basically little straight lines on a kind of, I don't know what type of monitor it is, but it can only draw straight lines, and as such the graphics look super sharp. They kind of burn and pulse and they look absolutely glorious. One of the most common games that used arcade games that used vector graphics was Asteroids and Tempest, Battlezone, Red Baron. There's a few others. Anyway, this is the Vectrex. Now, the game in question is, you may have noticed there, is Berzerk. Now, Berzerk, it's quite an unusual game to port to a vector system. Berzerk was basically sprite based, so to port it onto a sort of vector system was quite strange, but I suppose back then, you know, the Vectrex is no different from any other machine. They used, you know, you got your arcade ports, etc. So anyway, let's bash on with this one, if I can find the controller. I've actually got the light out, so I'm completely playing in the dark here. The first thing from the off, well, you didn't really get a chance to hear it properly, the sound for the Vectrex isn't too bad considering it came out in 1982. Now you can see here, the first thing that becomes apparent is how slow this particular game plays. I'm going to turn it up again so you can, in fact you know what, I'm going to wait till I get to the end of the level because you'll get Evil Otto like so, who comes out to chase you. Try and turn it up without knocking the camera over. Whoa! Right, let's go. Yeah, so the basic idea of Berzerk is, I don't think you can actually escape the maze. It's basically to run from one screen to the next and amassing as many points as you possibly can. Now you can see there the robots actually fire back, and if you hang around too long to escape the maze, you get Evil Otto, which is an evil smiling ball. Now the graphics in this particular version don't look anything like the arcade version. Again, probably because they're trying to use vector graphics. They actually look more like, whoa. The robots in this particular version actually look more like Metal Mickey. And again, anybody under the age of 30 probably hasn't got a clue what I'm talking about. No, you can't actually shoot this guy. Metal Mickey was a robot in a TV programme back in the early 80s, and it was bloody awful if I remember rightly. But yeah, I love the Vectrex. I mean, some of the games are just absolutely gorgeous. It's even, I mean, some of the sprite-based games like Scramble are just exquisite on it. Absolutely amazing looking. This particular game, I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it, but it's just very slow. Now, Berzerk wasn't a particularly quick game, it was quite tactical, but in this particular version, it just seems to slop an awful lot, which is a shame. The thing you need to bear in mind with the Vectrex, I think it had something like, I don't know, you can Google it yourself, it's something daft like, I don't know, 2K, 4K, whatever, not too sure. The funny thing is, in fact I may actually do a wee feature on it, there's people actually writing games now for the Vectrex. One I bought recently is a conversion of Time Pilot, and it's glorious, absolutely gorgeous looking. But yeah, this particular game's a bit of a chore to play. It's just too slow. But if you like your original hardware, then I suggest you go and track down the Vectrex. I mean, for a console, you're probably looking, console on its own, you're probably looking about £50 to £100. The problem with Vectrex is obviously how old they are. But saying that, however, I have got a Xbox 360 like most people, and I think I'm on my 4th or 5th machine. And I mean, it's you know, I've only had the 360 for, I don't know what, 5-6 years, maybe slightly more than that. This Vectrex came out in 1983 and it's never broken. So what did they know about electronics back in 1983 or before, actually, that they don't know now? Obviously, I totally appreciate that, you know, an Xbox 360 is doing slightly more processing than a Vectrex, but you know, so the Vectrexes are fairly reliable. I mean, I've had this one for, I say it's about 3-4 years, and touch wood, never had any problems with it. I kind of feel slightly, what's the word for it? Slightly guilty of actually having one of these games in my 10-minute mashup, because I says I love the Vectrex, and I could easily show you for this one sort of slightly poor version of a game, I could show you 10 great versions. Now I don't know how, I mean, I'm looking through the viewfinder here and the graphics look, all you can see is a kind of blurry, all you can see is a kind of blurry glow. Now I don't know if it's going to look like that when I actually transfer it onto the computer, but believe you me, the graphics on the actual system itself look lovely. I don't know if you've ever seen a Vectrex, but when it came out, I say it's about 1983, maybe slightly before that, each game, it came on cartridge, and each game had its own overlay, plastic overlay, with, you know, the sort of like backgrounds superimposed, and it also allowed you to do the sort of the Space Invader overlay colour. So some of the games you might have the score might be in blue, actual graphics may be in red, whatever. It's quite clever, and believe you me, it looks really nice. Trying to get a lot, you'll find on eBay, I mean, games, because there's so few games for the Vectrex, I think there's, was it 23 original games came out for it. I mean, it had a very short kind of lifespan. Game, and obviously because of the hardware being sold, the systems do go for quite a high price, as do the games. There's 1 or 2 games, was it Polar Rescue and something else, Wizard, I can't remember it exactly. There's 1 or 2 of the games that go for sort of silly prices. What you can do, I mean, I've got 11 boxed originals. What you can do, you can cheat like I have, and there's a few people make multi-carts, which is basically 1 cartridge with every single game plus homebrew games on it. So you know, you can get all the games for about 30 quid, which is pretty good. But if you want the overlays, then obviously, you know, you need to pick up the original game. But yeah, this game, it's a bit boring. I mean, it's not like I guess things like Smash TV and that kind of thing was kind of based on something like this, you know, this crossed with Robotron. But I don't think there's actually a point to this game other than continually moving and trying to amass as many points as you possibly can. But as you'll see here, if you hang about like so, if you hang about the maze for any length of time, Evil Otto comes after you. Yeah, but yeah, I'll definitely need to show you some of the good games. I mean, there's things like, even like Pole Position, believe it or not, actually plays really nice in this. There's a guy, Sean Kelly, about 1996, something like that. He actually released some new games for it. He released a game, in fact, he released a game about 4 or 5 years ago. What's it called again? I can't remember the name of it, but basically it's Defender. Now, you're probably laughing at yourself thinking, how on earth can a fast-paced game like Defender possibly be playable on a system like this? Well, believe you me, Protector, that's the name of the game, Protector. Believe you me, it plays amazing. Super fast, super smooth. I mean, like a lot of these old systems, as time's gone on, they've actually figured out how to make the most of the hardware, and honestly, to see that game in action is just unbelievable. Sean also brought a game called Not Another Space Invaders, was it NASA or something he called it? And again, it looks exactly like Space Invaders. The sprites look kind of pixel perfect, and it's even got some funky tune. There's also a version of Thrust, which came into the Commodore 64 and Spectrum, and again it plays absolutely perfect because obviously Thrust was a kind of vector type game, so it looks really good in the Vectrex, and it's also got a version of the Commodore 64 music, believe it or not, and it sounds awesome, absolutely awesome. So anyway guys, listen, that's 10 minutes up. This is Berzerk on the Vectrex system. Hope you've enjoyed watching it, and thanks for watching.